He can do sound effects all he wants.
We're good. We're good.
All responsibility.
All of it.
Get and guest on their show.
Coming up on today's show, Curt Schilling, attack, but attacks back.
Love it.
Beto, what's in his future? New York, numbers under scrutiny, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter show.
You know, folks, he made that sound like we have a lot to talk about. The reality is,
big bag of nothing.
We have a Friday bag of nothing. So don't be afraid to call in.
It's like our Tuesday show.
Right.
That's the phone line now? This one. Okay.
Good morning.
That's
good morning, Ash.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. I was waiting on you to do your thing. Let's start over.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's like waking up on the wrong side of the yeah, whatever.
We're just now back to the correct side of the
boat. Mike, everything.
The Flex Seal boat.
Here we go.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by our friends at Deerland Feed. 45 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of only 70. Should be sunny. I didn't look, but it should be
only 70. That's about 10 degrees warmer than yesterday. I'll take it.
It says it's going to be cloudy. And then starting Sunday, it gets sunny again.
Get any rain in the forecast?
No, sir.
This weekend?
No, sir. No rain today, at least.
That's good. How about the long range forecast into tomorrow?
Look, I'm not sure Deerland pays enough for me to go long range. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what they got here. No, tomorrow, no, nothing.
Nothing.
Chance of rain, 10%. Humidity, 90%. That's how cloudy it is, 90%. On a serious note, you're going to go by today and pick up some hay.
I am.
Hay. That's that unisex hay.
Got to get some for the cows.
Yeah.
I always throw a little bit in for the chickens, and they just kick it out of their nesting boxes. And
by the way, you
don't
bring
care
me
about it.
Every now and then, folks. Ash will bring me a carton of eggs from the 2-4 Ranch from his chickens they all have names. I guarantee every one of them has a name.
No.
Liar.
Just a couple.
And the eggs.
Eileen, because she stands like this.
Nice. See, that's when I got a video I'll play for you in a little while. I might play for the folks. When the eggs have a deep, rich, golden yolk, they're not. It must be because they're fed better feed than you get from when you buy them at the store. That are just those almost transparent.
They free range all day.
Yeah, that's what
the feed is there just to get them through the night, basically.
They have a healthier, what I would deem a thicker, healthier yolk.
They really love digging through the cow poop.
Yeah, that's what makes a good egg.
So there you go.
I got one. I won't tell you where I got it if I can find it.
Morning, Lisa Poole. First in, Lisa. We'll connect with you. First in Friday, we'll get you a Wade and Carter t-shirt today.
Somebody said that when they sent this that it reminded them of me. And let me start it over here. I want y'all to listen to this for a second.
All right.
I'm delighted to be joined by a member of the Chinese community as I apologize for using the phrase Chinese whispers. I appreciate that this is deeply offensive to the Chinese. I completely understand why they went totally mental. I'm delighted to be joined by a mental health campaigner to witness my apology for using the phrase they've gone mental. See, some of you are surprised that I'm apologizing, but gone are the days when getting an apology out of me was like getting a 5'11" Aberdonian egg. I would like to apologise to the largest Aberdonian community, the Aberdonians. I do understand that Aberdonian feelings are important. I'm surprised, actually, that our diversity officer didn't make that clear, to be honest. Sometimes around here it's like the blind leading the blind. I would like to apologise to Scotland's blind community. I hear your concerns.
So it goes on and on, folks. After the blind, he says
that's where we are today.
It doesn't fall on deaf ears, and then there's a deaf person there, and he apologizes to the deaf person. And my deal is, it's like, hey, that's kind of where we are. any turn of it. He said, I sometimes apologizing this way allows me to kill two birds with one stone. I'd like to apologize to the aviary folks out there. And I didn't know they would get a bee in their bonnet. I'd like to apologize to all the people that raise honey. I didn't mean to insinuate that there was something negative about a bee. It just goes on and on and on. And that's where we live. We live in we're going to give an executive order. You can't say China virus anymore. That's just not right. It's not right. We live in a weird world run by sissies.
Well, you know what's not right?
I'd like to apologize to those that are feeling effeminate.
The fact that 40, and I'm sure the numbers increased, executive orders in a week, because our Congress has become ineffectual because all they care about is still
getting reelected.
Well, not even that. Cleansing their Trump derangement syndrome. And I think the only way they can get closure and move past that is to impeach the president again, which the Senate has already basically shown that they're not going to be able to secure the 17 extra votes needed to do so. So we're wasting everybody's time, taxpayer dollars. But then again, it's Washington. They waste taxpayer dollars all the time.
All they're doing is outing Republicans who are probably going to get lopped off at re-election time. Now, it's not lost on me that.
But here's the thing. They're going to lose. Right now, they're a moderate rhino. But I would, if that's who's getting elected in those districts, unless Republicans turn up at the polls in those districts are going blue.
Right, but you hear people say all the time that say just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. When they took the vote and people said like 55 to 45, they said that impeaching the president was constitutional. That didn't mean that any of those people were going to vote that Donald Trump would be guilty. I mean, if they're truly voting their knowledge and their conscience, if they were, they could say, oh, absolutely, you can sue him if you want to. But we know he's not guilty because it's a waste of taxpayer dollars and we're going to vote against, moving it past the Senate. I can see that being the case. The leaders in D.C. went so far as to say, I think that's the exact same vote you would see. And I'm not sure that that's somewhere up there. There's got to be one person who believes, oh, it's perfectly fine to impeach him, but I don't think he's guilty. There's got to be somebody up there that believes that. And if the vote comes back 55-45 again, that's disingenuous on someone's part. Am I making sense there? It's like, hey,
no.
Okay, I'm saying that like in the state of Texas, anybody can be sued for anything.
Yeah. So
does Ash have the right to sue XYZ company over this? Oh, absolutely he does. Yeah. But now XYZ company is not liable. They didn't do anything. I support his right to go to court. And the idea that they're suing Trump after he's out of office, I think is a waste of taxpayer time and money.
I agree completely.
There you go. Well, if you and I agree, then let's just move on. There's no reason because that means they agree.
But I think what we're getting to now is our legislative branch is doing nothing. They hadn't really done anything for the last few years either.
Right.
And more power is coming out of the president's office, regardless of who's in power. All you have to do is look at the executive orders. Our three branches of government are becoming power is being consolidated at the top level of that branch.
Absolutely. There is you
hear
about these little factions within the little AOC, Kamala Harris, the little factions. What do they call their little group?
The squad.
There you go. That's a little club within the club, and that's not ideal.
But the power's not there. It's starting to consolidate in the office of the president.
Yeah.
Because the legislative branch is doing nothing. They're focused on impeachment. They squabbled over stupid crap for COVID relief.
Yes. Gender studies in Pakistan.
And now, and then you had a Supreme Court that doesn't really want to weigh in on anything
Oh, we don't want to oversee the impeachment. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. So when you and I agree on things, aren't we usually right? Doesn't what we agree on usually bear out?
Yeah.
I mean, except there was that one time that we both agreed I might be a pretty good mayor. Of course, you couldn't vote.
No.
That didn't help. I was big in the
My
county.
vote wouldn't have helped anyway.
I was big in the county. Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close. It just wasn't that close.
Richard King, good morning to you. Justin Glass is in. Bobby Leister, Judge Posey, good morning. Scott Tomko, Marvin Mickish, Terry Murray.
Good morning, Judge Posey.
Steve Kidder, 718 YouTubers were up from 691. Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive. It's a good show yesterday.
China, well, it was a good show yesterday.
Scott Snow, good morning. HR Mallory, good to see HR back in. Patrick Strauss. I wonder if those are all the ladies in Yoakum that you ticked off yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't offend that older group of ladies. That's not. So I'm waiting. Let's see
Scott Tomko, good morning.
The Republican Women of Yoakum calendar. Now, right there, that's a marketing tool.
Jeremy Pena, good morning.
I'm going to implore, beg, and plead with Sheriff Louderback to take a picture, a group photo with the Republican Women of Yoakum. He'll remain neutral on this. He would never, I mean, he loves Yoakum. Sheriff Louderback loves, he has nothing to do with this little joke I'm doing. The reality is the median age in that photo is going to be 74.
Chris Conrad, good morning. The Iceman is in.
And by the way, is it any different than the Republican Women of Victoria? There are some young, active, I don't know. In general, folks that are involved in politics,
we need to get younger people involved in
they're older
politics.
folks. That's the truth.
Natalie Mayer, good morning. Chris Conrad.
It's a safe position because folks that have time and or the inclination to really delve into politics are typically older.
James Kurth, good morning. David Glass is in. Rob Moore Knipling, Matt Boucher, Sheriff Louderback.
Lisa Poole wants that large T-shirt because she sleeps in it. You gonna autograph it?
No, I don't want to ruin the value of it.
Right.
Good morning, BJ Nelson. Lisa Poole asking if I need egg cartons. Yes, I can use some.
There you go.
Because somebody's standing to my left, and I'll even throw some eggs in with one of those cartons for you, Lisa. So you'll get eggs in it.
Oh, you're saying I don't give them back?
I didn't say that yet, but I was going there.
So, folks, help me. Isn't that a little bit like if I bring it in, like shake it, empty? Hey, isn't that kind of like? I always thought maybe that was a little bit greedy. Like it looked like I'm out of eggs, pal.
Not at all. Bob Constantine, good morning.
It's funny because Cheryl, is a big time decorator, and the last time I was out at the 2-4, there are eggs everywhere. They're in little cage wire baskets. They're really cute, but like it started out as a really cute idea. I'll just keep a couple right here by the stove, and then there's like another little basket over there, and you feel like you're on a really industrial Easter egg hunt when you're at their house because there's eggs everywhere.
Richard King, I apologize, but that's kind of become my MO with these T-shirts. They get to you eventually.
Richard, don't push it, Richard. Okay, Richard, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Make sure you message us. Do you know where Richard is?
Don't.
Send us an address. I'm going to throw in a hat. How about that? I'll try to make up for Ash's transgression with a little mordita. I'll give you a little extra chingle.
James Carter, we're going to get to that in a second here. Let's see who else is in.
I did not hear that McCarthy went to see Trump.
No, I didn't either.
Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys coach?
I don't know.
It's off season.
Powering through my coffee.
You did? Why?
I
sure hope
I'm almost half done. That's like
for some folks, that's like a colonic.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't kick in the middle of it.
Marie Day, good morning.
I mean, I can buy you 2 minutes right now.
Allen's banquet was last week.
Wrecker Service. 578-6300. Allen's is your go-to tow-to. If you need to get a vehicle from point A to point B, no matter the condition of vehicle involved, whether it will roll, whether it is crumbled, whether it just needs to be dragged, Allen's regular service, 578-6300. Today, Friday, last day to get into Veracruz before the weekend. Go in.
Enchilada casserole.
Fantastic. Call them early, 576-6015, and tell them you'd like an enchilada casserole to go.
Yeah, if you call them around lunch and place an order to pick up on
Pick
your
it
way
up that
home from work,
evening.
they'll have it
Absolutely.
ready for you.
And it's just awesome. You can
Yeah.
nibble on it all weekend.
Really,
I
you
can't.
can't.
My wife would not.
Well,
allow
you're
me
not
to do
allowed
that.
to, but
No.
somebody who is allowed to, there's enough food to get you through
Yeah.
the weekend.
By the way, it's a new low, 251 this morning. We made
Nice.
meatloaf last night. We made a turkey meatloaf.
Did you make it like you make your regular meatloaf?
Dawn did. Yeah, she really does the cooking, but she had some peppers and
Yeah, but
onions
your
and-
meatloaf is.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Not
I
gonna
can
lie.
It's phenomenal meatloaf. It really is. It's a comfort food that sets the standard because it's also of the consistency that the next day you can slab it up on some white bread with some mayonnaise and it's just paradise.
HP sauce.
There
It's
you
a
go.
British
There
sort of
you
steak
go.
sauce that I used to throw on my meatloaf sandwiches.
Veracruz today. By the way, our banner sponsor is still the VCS companies. They also have Rocket Oilfield Services and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. The VCS companies have been simply the gold standard in service quality, exceeding expectations, whether you need surveillance, surround sound, security systems, all the S's.
Anything for and the C's, they got communications covered as well.
Absolutely. Reach out to the VCS companies. So BJ Nelson says the chamber had a nice dinner last night. T. Michael O'Connor spoke on being a marshal. It was awesome. I have visited with Marshall O'Connor, and when each time we have had the opportunity to speak, or I feel like I've had the opportunity to visit with him, when he indulges me, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a busy guy. But when I've had the chance to
Surprised he has
visit,
time for you.
right, and trust me, he's not looking for an attaboy. He's trying to get a job done. But when I visit with Marshall O'Connor, every time we talk, he says, I'm most excited about the things that this position will allow me to do in and for Victoria. And he's obviously, folks, a longtime Victorian. That's an understatement. But his commitment still to this community, even though he operates at a federal level,
now,
is just phenomenal. So hats off to him. And hats off to Michael, if you're listening, sir.
Tom Price, good morning. Let's see who else is in.
Remind you that tomorrow, I'm not going to make you do it on a Friday. Tomorrow be a great day to go down, walk around the square, check out the beauty of the courthouse. Look how beautiful downtown Victoria is. And then just stroll 2 more blocks down Main Street, take a right, and walk down to Chesting Furniture. You can walk in. If you walked in there parched, Bobby Leon probably give you a bottle of water.
I'm sure he would.
And they've got bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding, all kinds of accoutrements.
You're getting close on that.
I'm working on it. I over.
You're closer there than I am to rolling my R's.
Roy Gutierrez would not agree with you. He thinks you do a fine job. Gutierrez. That's good. It's a try. It's a stab.
Everybody knows what I'm saying.
What's the police chief's name?
Arredondo.
You're lucky that's not a punishable offense.
There's my daughter Tyler checking in from Nashville. Stop on by
morning, Tyler.
Chesnick. They've got an absolutely gorgeous leather
Yes.
sofa and love
And they
seat.
have the ability now, folks. I don't know. I mean, we haven't bought a lot of furniture in the last couple of years. And that hasn't been on TLAT's radar, which is good. But you can go in and go, well, I like this boxy cushion, but I like this nail head on the arm, and I like this rolled, tufted thing in the back. They can order you the furniture you want, in the fabric you want, or material you want,
And the colors.
and the colors you want. I want that with turquoise cushions. Done. Done. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Chesney Furniture, 101 years in downtown Victoria.
Gilbert Ramon checking in. Good morning to you.
That was good. Ramon. Gilberto Ramon. You got to. That sounded like Sergeant Schultz a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of
He's so nothing.
Razor Ramon from
Right.
the WWF days. That was not
Right.
I don't
You've
know why I
always
was,
been
I don't know
a
why I was
wrestling
doing
fan.
Brutus the Barber there, but
I thought you were doing Edward Scissorhands.
that was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Remember, he'd walk around the ring doing the little scissor chop.
Yeah. See, Marie Day says, I didn't go into politics. You know,
It's kind of got what me into Texas politics as well, Marie, was the Trans-Texas corridor and the garbage that started with that. Oh, McCarthy, the prior chief of staff. There you go.
yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Mark Jameson checking in. Good morning. Carrie Charbula.
Hi, Carrie.
Kathleen Leininger.
Did you see where Dawn said she made a healthier version of my meatloaf?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting up there where McCarthy, you got to wonder why the former chief of staff needs to meet with the former president.
Well,
Just
because
saying.
he's bucking. Maybe it was an interview for the position of chief of staff of the office of the former president.
Right. Right.
Michael Jolly checking in. Good morning to you. Jeff Fonseca says put the Whataburger spicy ketchup on your meatloaf.
Yes. Fonzie knows food.
Tina Arterberry checking in.
Hello,
Christina
Katina.
Wise, good morning. BJ Nelson says Canadian equals gringo.
Gringo is right.
Good morning, Barbara.
You know, since Katina's there, I'm just going to take a second and tell you. 7 days a week, folks, Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. They're slinging it out. You owe it to yourself. No place else in town you can get Uncle Mutt's rice in any iteration. It's just perfection. I've dissected it down. I think there's some parsley in it. I know there's some chicken broth in it. I've eaten tons of this.
Send it to a lab and see if they can break it down.
It comes
reverse
down to the
engineer it for you.
seasoning of the pot. It goes back to Katina's family back through the years. But whether you want brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey, all the side dishes, we now call it the Wade and Carter pea salad. It's just that good. And what I always feel good about when I go there is knowing that I'm part of a family and a business that consistently and constantly gives back to the city of Victoria. You say Uncle Mutt's in front of Ronnie Koshin and he just lights up because they've done so much in this community.
So much. So
Katina,
awesome.
Thank you for your support and for all you've done for us.
Joe Mendenhall says House
good
Minority
weekend.
Whip, not Chief of Staff. Thank you for the clarification.
Now,
And
Joe
Link Scott
Mendenhall-
Tomko says that they were meeting to strategize to get more Republicans back in office.
Joe Mendenhall is a dear friend and a lifelong friend. Now, I think that's fair to say, Joe. We go back when I was in, I guess, freshman history with Miss Williams was our teacher. Joe came in. He was from a military family, Air Force, I believe. Could be wrong. I don't want to insult him because if he was Army, he'd be like, it was Army. But Joe Mendenhall came in and was son of an officer and had been around the world, and he just had been places that we hadn't been. You know, like we'd been to El Campo and he'd been to, Gitmo.
Yeah.
And he was like a junior when we were freshmen. So not only was he very mature just compared to the freshmen, he and the teacher would have conversations because Joe had been to the places that she was talking about. And we were all fascinated with Joe and still are today. He's a fine gentleman. He lives in the Hearst, Euless, Bedford area and has been a school, I think a school teacher for decades and just consistently has people love to take Joe's class.
So what you're saying is Joe got A's, the rest of you were barely
B's and
getting by.
C's, yeah. I tried to sit as close to Joe as I could. Yeah. Yeah. Great guy. Welcome to the show, Joe. Great to have you here, sir.
Pull those on exam day?
Yeah, Joe wasn't particularly tall. You could just look right over his shoulder and go, hey, how about that? A, B, C, D, E. Okay, got it.
ACDC, ACDC. Try that one time.
There were times in college I would have had just as much luck. Just roll it out there and play the odds.
I'll tell you what, getting back to a somewhat serious topic, if McCarthy went down there to strategize with how to get Republicans back in office, I think two things need to happen: a reckoning within the Republican Party, because
they got to define who they are.
Well,
who's going to be
exactly, because there's no way Mitt Romney represents
me. And
I voted for the guy way back 8 years ago or whatever. But
how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, the choice was, him or Barack. I mean, there was nothing.
Right.
There were no
voted
choices.
against Barack.
More or less in that case, yes. But, and he was one of 5 that voted in favor of that symbolic gesture in the Senate that said it was constitutional.
I think he just hates President Trump.
No, he does. He's got the TDS as bad as Joe Biden and a whole bunch on the left. But the Republican Party needs to really define who they are and what they want to be going forward, because 75 million Americans that voted for Donald Trump this last time around certainly aren't in support of guys like Mitt Romney.
No, I
and
agree.
would not support. And the other thing that needs to, and I don't know that you need to do much, but continue to and I mean, it's going to be a rough 2 years. This country's going to need a lot of work in 2 years. But Joe Biden and his executive order road that he's going down, he's going to do himself and the Democrat Party
Sure.
in 2 years if he continues this, because I don't think the people are going to stand for it. And I think you're going to see the House and the Senate balance go to the Republicans if they can find the right candidates and define who they are, and I think become a party of continue on with some of the things. America first.
Pro-life, Second Amendment, free speech,
And
the things the country's kind of founded
and
on.
the Constitution of the Bill of Rights, and then I think you're going to be okay.
Okay, so question for you, question for y'all. I would love to hear Joe Mendenhall's comment. By the way, 361-575-9509.
Push the wrong
We have
button
a phone
yesterday.
number. We have a phone number. Jeremy Pena says Pena 24, the Patriot Party. So here's my question. Given that Mitt Romney doesn't represent what you and I view as Republicans, quote unquote, we're not card carrying Republicans, but as our view of Republicans, Mitt Romney's not it. Does Trump or anybody really need to start a third party? Doesn't the Republican Party need to go ahead and admit that, well, as much as some of you snowflakes don't like it, we align with President Trump and we're going to kick out these naysayers? Isn't President Trump really the Republican Party? Aren't his views really indicative of the Republican Party? Why does he need to start a Patriot Party when hasn't he redefined or clarified what the Republican Party really is? That's how we know Mitt Romney doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Donald Trump cleaned it up. Here's what the Republicans believe. And then you can be a Republican. I get it, and we've said it on this show for 4 years now. Why is it that nowhere is there a Democrat who says, I believe the government ought to help small business. I believe that the government can do a better job by taking your taxes and disseminating that out to people. I believe too much wealth is concentrated among the rich, but I'm also decidedly pro-life. That person doesn't exist in the Democrat Party. They're all pro-choice. It's just it's a box you have to. If I say to you, I'm for gun control, I'm 100% for a woman's right to choose. Stop, Democrat. You're a Democrat. Okay, but I'm 100% for
Or
freedom
you
of
could
speech.
be a libertarian.
Right, that's what I'm wondering. And who were we visiting with that said, was it Dwayne Stovall?
Yeah, it was Dwayne Stovall.
How about a country with no parties? How about you don't rat hole me? How about you ask me what I think about issues and then we get it out there in the open? There's nothing wrong with
Well, you
somebody
can't
saying,
get anything out in the open these days because they're trying to limit your speech.
True.
You
Well,
know, that's the other dangerous slope we're heading down in this country. When you look at, you know, the continued presence of National Guard in Washington, D.C. and lack of access to the Capitol. And I get it on January 20th, that, you know, based on what happened January 6th, I can sort of understand that. When you have a cancel culture that's trying to stop anybody who doesn't think like them, because unity is not unity, it's conformist thought and thinking. This is their assault on the First Amendment, because you can no longer peaceably assemble in Washington, D.C. right now, right? They didn't want you there on January 20th either. They told you don't come.
Right.
And now, anybody who doesn't agree with them, they're trying to shut down what you say and the avenues to say it. And they're using big tech to accomplish it because it keeps their hands somewhat clean. Well, we're not censoring.
Well, here's
We're just not going to do anything about it. And meanwhile, these are the same folks that are kicking in hundreds of millions of dollars to Democrat campaigns.
It's funny that you just said that. Every now and then the show is pure magic. I want to read that in a second. It says here, this is a tweet somebody sent out, says, they have rigged everything. Silenced dissent with tech censorship and financial deplatforming. Rigged the economy with insider trading. Rigged democracy with lobbying and mass immigration. And they'll tell you with a straight face that racist rednecks are the problem. Interesting. Yeah.
Well, did you see yesterday when after we talked a little bit about the GameStop situation and you know how that was small investors trying to stick it to the Wall Street man, and you know they accomplished it with BlackBerry as well. And you had Melvin Capital having to borrow $3 billion to get out of the short position.
And they're just frustrated. Yeah. Some of these hedge funds have gone broke because you have to.
Well, because they got beat at their game. You know, they're hoping. I mean, think about it. They borrow stocks, hoping they'll lose money so they can sell them.
Which is a vital part. There's no chicanery there. Say puts and calls are selling stuff short it can be risky because in my mind it usually has to involve some kind of insider trading. You have to kind of have a reason to believe that
GameStop's
going to go down.
Yeah.
But think about this. If 30 years ago, if you had been the first person to hear of the explosion in Bhopal, India, that for a day or two crippled Union Carbide. Some of you will remember when that happened. It was a big deal. Well, let's just say their stock was trading at $100 and electronically you could sell it for 90. And people would say, whoa, I'm buying stock for $10 off, 10% off right off the top. I'm going to buy 1,000 shares. So you sell it for 90, but you don't own it. You put in a short position. And when the stock the next day, when the news breaks that, oh, by the way, Exxon, their stock did plummet by like 50%. It wasn't Exxon, it was Union Carbide. It plummeted like 50%. You just go out and buy it up at $50 a share. And now you've made the $40 per share on your 1,000 shares. You made $40,000.
And you give the shares back
to the brokerage. Yeah. It is a common part of the stock market.
Well, and in theory, the risk is the upside. If that stock goes up, there's no, I mean,
you've got to satisfy that position.
Yeah, regardless. And so the risk on the upside typically is worse than the risk on the downside because the only downside is it's going to end up at zero at some point, right? I mean, your gains, your losses in theory could way, way, way outpace your gains.
And you buy that ability to fulfill the position for higher prices for longer periods of time.
But the theory that your losses were infinite had never really been challenged until GameStop, BlackBerry, and then they tried to do it with Nokia, and Nokia went the other way. But the app that most of these day traders were using, called Robinhood, decided to stop trading in I think GameStop and a few others.
Something, right? It went all the way to $111 or whatever. Yeah. But I'm going to give you two
yesterday's value. But now they're being sued by these traders who made the app what it is. Because I think we said yesterday, the big boys are going to win this one anyway because they have more money and they have more ability to get more money. The ones who really got hurt were all the Johnny-come-latelys that jumped in onto GameStop yesterday morning,
Right.
thinking that
I've
it
got
was
$1,000.
it was still going to go up to $500 or $1,000 a share because these guys weren't giving up their positions.
Because they couldn't afford to give them up. Let me give you the 2 words, though.
And then it went, and then so somebody bought in at $200 for GameStop yesterday, and I don't know where the price was. I'm just saying. And then all of a sudden, it lost 50% of its value yesterday. So these folks, if they bought in at, if they bought $20,000 worth of GameStop,
And it's now worth
and now it's
11.
worth, they're losing their shirt.
The 2 words are Elon Musk. When a person with that much financial credibility gets in there and says, man, I think this GameStop stock is going to go through the roof, then it does. People started buying it up. And did you know that in this particular case, there were more shorted positions than there were shares of stock available? So some people, there was no way. All you have to do is just hold on to your stock, because there's no way that you're ever going to satisfy the position.
Well, and the other thing, and it was supply and demand. And those, when they started selling it, those that were shorted wanted to cut their losses and get out of their position.
Right.
So they were starting to buy it, and that drove the price up even more. I mean, it was a really interesting situation. And I know enough about the stock market to not really dabble in the stock
It
market.
was a good day to have no money. If you want
Yeah.
to invest in the stock market, find a good broker, get into a 401k, and tell him to put it with like Fidelity or somebody. This is when we need our buddy Kyle Nowak to call us, tell us what's going on.
But it was really interesting that yesterday on what happened. Jeff Fonseca says hedge fund folks may start jumping into buildings.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. BJ Nelson points out that, did you hear there have been at least 2 suicides from DC Capitol Police since the
I had not heard.
I did not know that Hillary Clinton was involved in that at all. The Clinton suicide machine rolls on.
Yeah, Rennie Langston says GameStop went to almost $350 a share. And there's also, they were hoping it would get to 500, and they said once it got to 5, they were going to hold till it got to 1,000.
Yeah.
So this thing's that's
Interesting.
And what's really interesting is yesterday, and here's where the politics and how stupid AOC is. She called for congressional hearing on this because of the pressure being put on by hedge funds and large capital partners to pressure Robinhood and other traders to stop trading the shares, right?
Right.
There was a lot of pressure.
AOC understands
backside pressure. But she called for if we need a congressional hearing, I'm all for it. And Ted Cruz said the same thing. I agreed with her. Let's get this out in the open if we need to. And when asked about that common bond, AOC said, I can't work with him because he almost had me killed on January 6th. Because he supported the fraudulent notion of election fraud.
Ugh. There you go. That's the left trying to unify.
The Trump,
It's all about unity. It's all about forgiveness. It's all about let's reach across the aisle. It's all about her wearing Chanel.
It's all about Trump derangement syndrome.
Poor broke bartender from Brooklyn.
Yeah. So
or the Bronx.
Or not even.
Or not even. Or Long Island. Long Island.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean, it just shows you that it's all lip service when it comes to unity. You had an opportunity to really.
Yep.
But she doesn't. She obviously doesn't care.
James Kirk did point out accurately that suicides are not uncommon among our first responders. I think it's important to keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers all the time. I'll tell you somebody who I think has suffered. I visited with a Victoria fireman just yesterday, and the comment was made that we miss, it's our fire stations are public facilities, and we used to really enjoy it when a family would stop by, especially with children, and they wanted to see the fire trucks, and the kids always ask, why do y'all have an ambulance here? And be able to explain to them the fire department's role. When you've got a 48-hour shift at the fire department, I mean, it can be a lonely existence. And the same with our police You need to keep those folks in your prayers and smile and wave at them. Don't divert your eyes from our police officers. These are nice folks, and we're very, very fortunate in Victoria. I can't help what happens in Chicago or Seattle, but in Victoria, Texas, we're blessed and fortunate to have some nice people who truly care about our community and are underpaid and underappreciated. So,
Adam Dodger says unity and bipartisan support is smokescreen for dirty politics.
absolutely. You know somebody, though, that sells a lot of product, and they don't keep raising the prices just because there's fewer of them, is the Atzenhofer dealership. You go over there, they have one true price. You can go to atzenhofer.com. You can start looking through their website, and what's there, they'll sell it to you for that. Now, you might be able to go in there and give them a would you take, would you take $37,496?
And they might not.
And they might or might not. I mean, they're stacking them deep, selling them cheap. But Tommy Taylor and his crew is all about meeting the vehicular needs of Victoria and the whole region. People come from all over. If I'm in El Campo or Cuero, where you will not drive without seeing that red, white, and blue A on the back of a vehicle, because people come from all over. That's how good the deals are. Reach out through atzenhofer.com and know that since 1926, the Atzenhofer family just quite simply has been Victoria's dealership. White Trash Services, not here that long. Same
But they will be.
philosophy.
They keep going.
That's exactly right. 550-1826. BJ, Scott, Carl, the group out there at White Trash Services is there to serve you and your family. They want
What I
you
like,
to,
when they tell you they're going to do something, they get it done.
absolutely, kind of like Wade Carter. Have a trash-tastic day. 550-1826. And then Razor IT Solutions. We talk about it a lot. You need to experience it. If you've got a website, if you sell things on the internet, that should be your cue that you need Razor IT Solutions. You need to protect and encrypt the data that comes in. You need to know who's trying to hack into your website. And he can help you coordinate where you can now sell things on Facebook with the touch of a button. And that stuff will tie directly into your QuickBooks. He's a seamless guy. He removes the boundaries between Facebook and the internet and your accounting software. Razor IT Solutions. It's not as expensive as you might think. You probably can't afford it. He has financing available. I'm playing. JP Hull would love to work with you
Talk to them.
and
Just
your
reach out and
company.
talk to them.
There you go. 45 minutes after the hour. That makes it Saturday morning in Newfoundland. So good morning, Newfies. Hope y'all are doing well.
Sunday morning to those listening in Australia. Actually, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Actually, no, Saturday afternoon.
Do you? So I've never asked you
Because we
this.
do. I do. I know we got one. A friend of mine does listen in from Australia.
Hello, Joe Davenport. I've never asked you this, but I'm going to put you on, kind of a put you on the spot thing. You can do it to me too. I don't care. With what, and I'm not blaming this on Joe Biden. I'm saying I do believe it wouldn't happen under Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump flexed some mythical muscle that other countries listen to closely. But with what percentage, of certainty would you say that in Joe Biden's term, you would, feel like we might end up in some type of an armed conflict where we're drawn into something because other countries, there are countries out there that are simply not like the U.S. They sense a little weakness.
Look at the Canadians chiming in. Craig Simpson doing his best Newfie impersonation.
Right?
Yes, by Bay the Bay.
Right? Is that how they talk? There's Pete Montana says there's a blemish on Ash's hat.
Yeah, he ain't liking it. But my Rangers did win last night. My Flames did not. We'll leave it at that.
There you go. We love Pete. Good morning, sir.
Morning
Pete,
to you, Pete. Checking
Pete's
in from
extreme northwest.
North America.
Absolutely. He's
Not
out
quite
there.
extreme,
He's on an
yeah.
island, folks. He's on an island out in the Pacific.
He's on his own island on an island.
So what is
So
that? Yes,
where were you
bye,
going?
bay,
What was
the
the
bay,
question?
bye. Yes, bye, bay, the bay, bye. What does that mean? It's just how they
That's
talk.
just, yeah, that's kind of how they talk.
Newfies.
They got a weird accent. Unique accent. I don't want to say weird. Sorry, I apologize to the Newfies who might have.
JB.
Be offended by it.
News Snuckle.
But you were
We'll
asking,
get
what are
into-
the odds we get into an armed
Yeah,
conflict?
you know where I'm trying to go with that. I'm just trying to stretch, trying to find something.
Well,
to talk.
I think certainly by the end of his first term, but I would say probably within 2 years, the way things are degrading in the Middle East already. When your first one of your first executive orders is to expand the ambassador of Israel to become the ambassador of Israel, the West Bank, and the Gaza, which don't exist as sovereign nations,
Right.
you're driving a wedge
Between them and
yeah,
the Palestinians.
and even the Israelis have even said, look, if you're going to give Iran the ability to build nuclear weapons,
So BJ Nelson says,
we are going to have to probably take some military action against Iran.
she's wondered about that. She says Biden will have an emergency during his tenure, but how will he respond? How will he handle that when he can't even get his pen in his pocket? Did you see that video the other day? He had his jacket open and he was trying to put his pen. We all have a pen pocket inside of our coats, and he's trying. And he's at one point he literally gives up and just shoves it in his pants pocket. And he's mumbling to himself. Blah, blah, blah.
You know what else? Somebody sewed that jacket pocket shut as a
Just
joke.
to mess with him.
Yep.
Did you see where General Motors announced that by 2035, this is not far away, people, by 2035, they will no longer make a vehicle with an internal combustion engine. They didn't say that in 15 years, every vehicle was at least going to be a hybrid. They said that in 15 years, they will not introduce a vehicle that is powered by fossil fuel. Think about that. In only 15 years. So if you're a Saudi Arabian and all you have to sell is gas,
And
in 15 years, systematically. Now, if they're smart,
it's a goal.
they'll
Is it
get-
achievable?
No.
I mean,
how are you going to get product from? You can't get product from the East Coast to the. Tell you what, invest in the railroads, because the only way to get anything from the East Coast to the West Coast is going to be on a train.
or a ship.
Quicker by rail. I mean, what are you going to
Well,
drive?
yeah, you don't have to
Gotta
go
go
through.
around
You don't have to go through the Panama Canal,
Right.
not the Suez. Is that where you were going with it? The Suez Canal?
I was going to go around the East Cape.
Okay.
Right.
Down around South Africa.
Yeah. So I was going to get there.
I was going to go searching for that famed Northwest Passage.
Hey. What is BJ Nelson says? Get Tommy Taylor in to discuss what?
I guess GM making that announcement.
Oh, Tommy doesn't even know that. He ain't got time to mess with that. He's going to sell what they send him.
He knows.
He ain't got time for that.
Anybody have time for Beto as our governor of Texas?
Oh,
See
my
this? I don't
goodness.
know that I saw some stories about this last night. I don't
That's
know that
just
he's come out and
chatter,
said it, but there's enough smoke there that he's probably mentioned it to a few people that, gee, this would be interesting.
You know, I'm going to tell you, as foolish as this would be, I think tomorrow he beats Greg Abbott for governor. I do. I think if Beto O'Rourke puts his name in to run for governor, he beats Greg Abbott handily. And I think it's terrible. I think it's just indicative of all these, cancel culture folks that just say, Beto's our guy. I mean, how much more lunacy can you have than a Hispanic Latino community embraces little Beto? His name is Francis O'Rourke. I mean, he conned you people, all of you. He conned you. He comes off as like the Latin solution. He's a gringo from El Paso.
And stole your land, made money off it, and conned you and snookered you into voting for him over and over again so he could keep taking from you so he and his family and others could get rich off the backs of the poor people.
Peter McNally says, Brent, don't make fun of old guys and their pins. I think Ash has a point, Pete. I think they must have, as a joke, as a friendly deal, somebody ran a stitch, because I'm watching him and he opens, we all do it. He opens his coat and he slides his pen in there. It just slides down. It slides down. And then he kind of looks and he realizes he's on camera. He's signing documents. He wanted to keep that particular pen. And he all of a sudden he goes, harumph, and he just slides it in his pants pocket while he's sitting there. It was very, very funny. Yeah. I really think
there's remember Remember, I had all these swamp rats that tried to sabotage President Trump for 4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe this was one of the Republican swamp rats
You
trying
never
to
know.
sabotage
Went in there.
Biden for some Taylor.
Sometimes you'll buy a pair of slacks or whatever, and the pocket is sewn.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to clip that. I had people tell me before, that's a fake pocket.
It's called a little stitch.
It's not a fake pocket.
No,
You just clip that, and then there's a pocket in there.
Scott Tomko says, I think they sew it up because he keeps losing crap.
Right? It's a sad thing about me is that I start to feel sorry for him. I do, and I'm not in any way an apologist for Joe Biden. I think he was a terrible, terrible candidate. I think that the public basically.
Oh, he's a puppet. I'm more convinced again. This is Obama 2.0.
I really
Third term
believe
for
so.
Barack Obama, and all you got to do is look at all his appointments. They're all repositions of Barack Obama's term. I mean, there's no unity when you keep bringing back people from one of the most divisive presidencies in this country's history. John Kerry was a terrible Secretary of State.
How does he hang around people?
And now he's your environmental czar?
He was a terrible military man. He was just a
Speaking of which,
guy.
Every president for the last few has been hammered on their draft dodging abilities for Vietnam. How has Joe Biden gotten a pass on this one?
Well, he was already a congressman by the time he should have gone to Vietnam. He became a congressman at 29.
Close.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, it's funny because in the same breath that I tell you that I feel some empathy / sympathy for Joe Biden, I can't verbalize it. Like I wanted to say, after 48 years in Congress, he just deserves better than that. But I don't believe that. I don't believe he deserves better than this.
I don't believe he deserves a shot at the presidency just
Yeah.
because you've been there for 50 years either. Well, he deserves it. It's his turn.
Yep. Pretty soon it'll be Cher for president.
That's the everybody gets a trophy mentality.
Remember that song? Sorry. I mean, I know the first rule of radio is don't sing, and absolutely know that I can't sing. But I think it's sometimes it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. As long as you and I laugh, and then my mom's money is well spent.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we're here spending her money on this program.
Tell you what won't make you laugh.
Forced. It's very forced.
Very forced. So take it away. I don't know where I was going.
Well, 920-6803 won't make you laugh, but could bring a beautiful tear to your eye.
There you go.
The decorating abilities of Cheryl and the Gray Barn. You hear Brother Gary coming in. Brother Gary, this is a private studio, man.
Yeah, hey, we're on the air. They're
coming in here making the show. Here comes Ralph. Look, he makes Ralph carry all the gear. Ralph's older than Gary. What are we doing? 920-6803, the Gray Barn.
Christina Wise thanks you for that. That song will now be in her head.
Anyway, I don't know how that song goes, but
you got the tune.
But it's so bad.
I just bucket to carry it. Right. You got the tune.
Cheryl will come out and decorate your next event. I want to do, and I've already talked to my
You want to do a share event?
Partners about it, where I want to do a sales event. Because you always get these deals, and these insurance companies come in and they want to give they'll give you like a little satchel, or they'll give you a bifold dealer. And Cheryl could decorate each. I can see it, because we have a lunch, and she could do something with the napkin that looked like you're in Cabo when you come in. There's a swan on your bed. Anyway, I come in, there's phallic symbols. I don't know what it means. I think Dawn tips them extra. But 920-6803, the Gray Barn. Went Services. We've been talking about it. If you haven't reached out to see, it's a free deal, folks. Reach out. It's free on several levels. The quote is free. Scott Dongo says 2 more minutes, and you both have muddled through this one. I don't know which is worse, us muddling or you continuing to listen. But if you reach out to Went Services, they will help you. As we're on this beautiful 5th floor looking out across Victoria, I mean, look, that church right there, they could run on free electricity. Look at that sun beating down on that roof. And you can put solar panels right there. And of course, it doesn't help the church because they don't pay taxes, but you get a tax refund or a tax credit for doing. Christina Wise, do you believe in life after
Here,
love?
she's got the words for you.
I do, because
Really running through
then
her
I
head.
found love with what
Can you want to continue?
no, the bits can wait. What was the deal about was it Love in an Elevator? No, that's
That was Aerosmith.
Aerosmith. What is the one about I found love on a two-way street or something like that? Doesn't matter. USA Concrete Coatings. Our buddy Charlie Garcia will come out and to the bitter end, Scott says.
You'll find love after bad concrete.
Yeah. Tell you what, when your concrete goes bad, it's ugly. You call USA Concrete Coatings. They'll come out, they'll seal those cracks, clean the surface, and put down a polyurethane coating that's better than anything. It's better than the concrete that was there. It's beautiful. It won't harbor bacteria. It won't stain. It won't show spots. It won't stick to your tires. It's great. Steve Kidder says solar panels are made in China. Kathleen Leininger, thank you, ma'am, says y'all do some entertaining muddling. We are muddlers. You know,
Imagine if we actually put some effort into it.
Stop.
Might actually,
Don't.
yeah,
You always
might.
tell me don't ever put down the product. I like to be self-deprecating. That doesn't mean I poop on myself, although I've done that. I am talking about putting myself down to make other people comfortable and make them laugh. I like to do that, and my material is endless. But I like to joke that Ash and I so enjoy doing this with you folks that Adam Darby says you'll find love after Kamala Harris. Boy, Willie Brown did. She was just the opening act. There you go. I did have some feedback yesterday, Ash, that the Atlanta Hammers kind of gaining some traction.
Really?
That they don't want to call them the Atlanta Braves anymore. It used to be the Milwaukee Braves, but then you had Hammer and Hank Aaron, pretty much including Chipper Jones and what was the right fielder's name? It was Dale Murphy, the center fielder, and Greg Maddux and those folks. Hank Aaron's still the iconic, the John Wayne, the Earl
Bob
Campbell.
Warner.
Yeah, remember they always think you got so-and-so. They never called him Horny. Everybody else was had a Y on their name. Yeah, I tell you that I am convinced
Fred
that
McGriff was there. He was hitting home
Crime
runs.
Dog.
Andrew Jones, center field.
very, very talented. Still playing somewhere.
Underachieved that team.
Right.
One World Series.
Unbelievable.
Jeff Fonseca says, "Don't hate on Sherry. He has the single in his tape deck."
Single. Nice.
Those things never caught up. What a bad marketing idea. Hey, let's sell these cassette singles for like $3 and they'll be all the rage. And then they didn't quite think that went through, because if you wanted to play different songs, you had to change the damn thing out every time. And for $8, you could buy the entire cassette. And if you had auto reverse, it would just flip it and play the other side. You didn't have to do anything with it. Bad ideas.
Right? Hang on, don't go anywhere. They're not.
Adam Ritchie is calling natives Braves. How is that negative? I'm not disagreeing with you, Adam.
It wasn't. It shouldn't be that way. But it's the cancel culture, if you will, that says,
No, I'm not doing this.
okay, you got to do it. We got to move the verse. Is it against the law?
It might be.
I don't know.
But I just really don't want to hear it, so.
Hang on. Folks, it's a Friday. Bear with me. Very electronic.
Sheriff's coming after you.
Very disco. Listen to it. It's all electronically modified.
Including his voice.
Hear this? That's somebody on acid messing with the auto tune.
Speaking of which, I can't do that. There you go, Christina. Now it's out of your head because you played enough of it to get out of your head.
There you go.
But now it's in everybody else's.
Stay tuned, though.
Thank you for that. You've ruined my weekend.
Ralph and Brother Gary are going to play your Tejano favorites, and they play a lot of great oldies and stuff. So
maybe they'll play that one for everybody.
They probably won't. We love you guys. Oh, they sure we can take it down from YouTube now. Hey, we love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks. Wasn't that great a show? We can take it down.